Good evening, Bahamas, on the broadcast tonight. Another male gunned down here in the capital. Plus, a former Free National Movement cabinet minister expresses regret to see the former prime minister's political career end the way it did. And a student from Andros is named this year's Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year.
News is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Knowles. Topping the news tonight, officers are investigating another murder here in the capital. According to police, it was around 12 p.m. Sunday when police received reports of a shooting at Butswain Hill off Carmichael Road. When they arrived on the scene, they met the lifeless body of a male lying in the street.
The only information we're working with thus far is that residents in the area, they heard reported gunshots. They came and looked to the area where they observed a white Honda vehicle speeding off from the scene. As a result, they observed the lifeless body of a male who was lying in the street.
A crowd of onlookers remained on the scene as plainclothes police officers conducted their investigations through the corner. Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Solomon Cash, says at this time, officers have no motive for the killing.
Our investigation is in its initial stages. However, we are appealing to members of the public who may have any information concerning this incident to feel free to contact the police emergency at 919 or the Central Detective Unit at 502-9992 or 1.
In other news this evening, former Prime Minister Perry Christie became the first sitting Prime Minister to ever lose his own seat in a general election. And while he has accepted full responsibility for the Progressive Liberal Party's devastating defeat at the polls and stepped down as party leader, a veteran politician says he was disappointed and sad to see Christie leave the political scene the way in which he did. GIORGIO BAIN tells us more in this report.
Former Prime Minister Perry Christie lost his Centerville seat to F&M MP Reece Chipman, and despite this win being considered shocking by most, former F&M MP Tennyson Wells said he was sad to see Christie go. Former Free National Movement cabinet member Tennyson Wells was very vocal ahead of the 2017 general election that former Progressive Liberal Party leader Perry Christie should have stepped down. Christie represented the Centerville area since 1977 and lost by a mere 4 votes. This week, Wells revealed that he was saddened by Christie's loss and he wishes Christie had seen the writing on the wall.
I thought that the F&M would have won somewhere between 28 and 33 seats. I was surprised at the loss of Mr. Christie, the former Prime Minister.
After the F&M's landslide victory, former Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller admitted that there were plans ahead of the PLP's January convention to remove Christie from the leadership spot, but those plans were later cancelled as they noticed Christie had mounted support. Miller said the responsibility of their loss fell on Christie's lap. Wells said he wishes that Christie had taken the advice of those who warned him.
You know, it is sad to see a prime minister who was prime minister, who have been representing the area for what 40 plus years to lose like that. But it just tells you that you should know when to go, and he didn't. He didn't listen to the cries of people, and so. And in that sense, you know, it's unfortunate that he lost.
Wells also admitted that he wishes Christie had awarded himself the opportunity to step down graciously like the past prime ministers, Hubert Ingraham and the late Sir Lyndon Pinland, but now his legacy will have a different ending.
Many people, even people like me, who were saying to him he should have gone, right, would have preferred to see him come back into Parliament and make his exit like the former Prime Minister, Mr. Ingraham, and Sir Lyndon did, you know. It's unfortunate that he allowed himself to be so into himself or think that he was, you know, the one and only to just stay home like that. But you live on your line.
Reporting for Our News, I'm GIORGIO BAIN.
Well, former Free National Movement Member of Parliament for Montague, Richard LIGHTBOURN, is commending the 18-man, one-woman cabinet that was established by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis earlier this month. While some have criticized its lack of diversity, with only Seabreeze MP Lanisha Roll being the only woman around the table, LIGHTBOURN says he believes it's a well-rounded cabinet.
You need to have a group of people, and I think that he has got a strong group around him which will help move the country forward.
LIGHTBOURN has had his own issues with the Prime Minister, as he was one of 7 MPs to oust Dr. Minnis as leader of the opposition last December. Now he says that was all water under the bridge, as he even campaigned for the FNM during the election season. When asked what he thought of Minnis's leadership so far, he had this to say.
There's not really sufficient time to make any judgment call, but I think that what has happened is what would be expected. He's appointed a cabinet. I think it is a well-rounded cabinet, and you know, so we go from there. At this point, I'm not able to really comment on his performance, but I think he's made it evident that he's got to have a strong crew of supporters around him, and I think that's something that the country needs to move toward, that we don't continue to allow one man to make all the decisions for the country.
Meanwhile, former opposition leader Loretta BUTLER-TURNER is wishing the Free National Movement government well, but is encouraging the new Minnis administration to remain aware that Bahamians are looking to it to provide the change promised on the campaign trail.
The reason why they were elected, and the reason being people were sick and tired of all of the lack of transparency, all of the disregard and disrespect shown to the electorate. So as we move forward, you know, we're all Bahamians. We want what is good and right, and I hold no animosity towards the government. I actually want the government to succeed. So from that perspective, they're everybody's government. They're our government, they're my government, and I want them to succeed because I live here.
BUTLER-TURNER's relationship with the FNM was extensively damaged after she and 6 other FNM MPs ousted Dr. Minnis as opposition leader. She in turn lost her nomination as the FNM's candidate in Long Island, and months later lost her seat in Parliament. So we asked her, does she still support the FNM?
I supported change in the government. You know, the FNM has always been the party that I have been a part of. As you well know, their constitution says that I am no longer a part of their party. And so, you know, for me, I fought against the PLP every day that we were in opposition. I pledged to do that in May of 2012, and I'm happy that the PLP is gone. So, yes, in essence, the FNM is where my heart lies, but obviously, for me, I don't know if their heart lies with me.
While it is the intention of the new Minnis administration to hold a referendum to seek the electorate's consent on several legislative moves, including introducing term limits for the Prime Minister, fixed dates for elections, and creating an independent boundaries commission, Long Island Member of Parliament ADRIAN GIBSON says he doesn't see government in any rush to do so. Instead, Mr. GIBSON suggested their time be spent on ensuring the groundwork is done to properly inform the public on what is being proposed.
I don't believe we're going to have a referendum immediately, but I think if we educate the masses about these various headings, what it means for a prime minister to have 2 terms only. You see it in America, and you know, we like to look at the American model as well, but we see that it is valuable to allowing others to come up and progressive leadership to come forward. I think that would be a successful referendum if we have that with the educational side.
While appearing as a guest on the show, On the Record with host Jerome Sawyer, the Long Island MP pointed to the lack of education being one of the major factors which resulted in the 2 failed referenda brought forth by the Christie administration in its last term in office.
I think more consultation, more education, because otherwise, in fail, people just vote against.
People will vote against. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Without understanding.
And I think that has been what has hampered referendums in the Bahamas. And sometimes too, you crowd the ballot with too many different items. So if you can have a referendum, sometimes you may want to limit it to a select amount of questions okay, and you explain everything. You have a long consultation process, maybe even a year, 2 years out, you know, and you go to the people.
Meantime, FNM Chairman Sidney Cawley has already requested the public's patience, as he says the Minister administration must ensure that everything is in order prior to going to the public for an official vote. And we'll take this break right here, but still ahead tonight, meet the newest primary school student of the year. That story and more when our news returns.